Hi, my name is Adam Ross, and I'm speaking to you from San Francisco, California, where I work at the Chinese American International School. I'm going to be speaking to you today about using Edji, a fairly new online tool that will help support reading activities and do a little bit more than that. Let's dive right in. So, what is Edji exactly? Edji is an online tool for education where teachers can combine reading tasks with what they call collaborative annotations, focus on texts, images, or PDF files. Well, what's a collaborative annotation? This is an example of a task where students work collaboratively to engage with the text in a number of different ways. Teachers can create tasks for students' spoken and or written output, which may or may not be viewable by other students within Edji. And there are rich opportunities for formative assessment within Edji, or even summative assessment if you wish, and ways to give easy feedback. If you wish to learn more from the Edji website, they have a What is Edji guide. There's a link there for you. It's easiest just to do a Google search for What is Edji guide, and it'll come right up for you. So here's some examples. Here's probably the basic way of engaging with Edji with a reading task. I teach Chinese, obviously, at Chinese American International School. Here's an example of a small text that I used to share with my high school students in an online course that I taught several years ago. What I did is I took this text from a website from clavissynica.com, copied the text into Edji, and then was able to make some annotations of my own to help support students. And so what I've done here, and I'll show you this in a moment, I've highlighted some text and I've glossed it for them. So in this example here, I've taken the characters Zui Jin and given the pinyin, the romanization, and the meaning, and then I even do a small audio file where they can hear me pronounce it, and I've done this with another character as well. This is a very, very basic example of using Edji for this. If you want to take a look at this example, just type into your browser edji.it/3knw, and you can see how this works. And we're going to go over there right now. So if you've gotten over to this page, you can see how easy it is to share Edji pages with your students. They don't necessarily need to have an account. They can use a guest account, and you've probably logged in that way. Here's an example of what I've done just to do some simple glossing. You can see here that I've highlighted the very first two characters of this text, and it's highlighted it with AR, my initials, as the teacher. As a student, or even myself as a teacher, if I click on this, it'll show what I've highlighted, and I show that I've highlighted this as the pronunciation being 最近, meaning recently. And I even have included a sound file here where I pronounce for my students what this means. This is a very simple way of doing this. Now, students or you yourself can also highlight text and play with it. So I'll show the process. If I wanted to highlight this word over here, I just highlight it, click the word new, and then I can write whatever I want. And I can say that this is the word 报道, which is reports. And then I can also do another sound file as well. If I click the add recording, and then go ahead and click start. It's getting ready, set, go. 报道. And then it'll take a couple seconds to process, and then my sound file is there, and it's all done. And then that is all you need to do to add new collaborative annotations. The students' process will be exactly the same. And it's very easy to look at all of the annotations that have been done. There's just 2 so far, but as other people will add in, there will be more and more things in this page. So let's take a look at the same reading text with a bit more markup in it. I actually shared this text with a group of Chinese teachers as a demo and asked them to ask as students replying to a number of prompts that I gave them. The first task I modeled for them, where I acted as my alter ego, Justin Tsai, a student studying Chinese. And if I scroll over the JC, you'll see Justin pops up here, and you'll see the text that he, or myself in this case, highlighted. Here it's underlined. When you click on the JC, what Justin inputted pops up. And in this case, Justin highlighted the text and made an audio recording. What I essentially did was I was proving that I could actually read the text aloud, which is a challenge in a language like Chinese. Let's take a listen to what I recorded.
作为一个正在读书的研究生，我认为这样的观点是有问题的。
So that's a pretty simple task. I'm just simply asking students to read aloud certain parts of a task. It doesn't necessarily fulfill a necessful, actful, can-do statement. But what I did with the teachers is I asked them to read further in an interpretive reading task and then to do a little presentational writing where I asked them to select a sentence and then to make a statement whether they agree or disagree with what was in that sentence. So if I scroll over the S, this student highlighted a sentence later on in the text and then wrote a statement in Chinese saying, I don't exactly agree, and then added a supporting statement. And this fulfills a necessful, actful, can-do statement at the advanced low level, which states that I can state my viewpoint about familiar topics and give some reasons to support it using sentences and a series of connected sentences. So here is an example of students doing this sort of task in this collaborative way, where other students potentially can see what other students are writing, and other students have done the same thing. If I scroll over Z and then pop into it, this person also says I don't agree to a sentence later on. One thing I'll note is that if a number of students all select the same text, if you look down here, there are certain characters that are highlighted in red. This is what's called the heat vision, where if many students are highlighting certain areas of text, then that's considered a hot area or an area of interest. And that may be something to point out to students that seems to be an area that's, as a class, I may want to dig into deeper. And then if we wish, we can always go look at all of the comments, and all of the recordings or text are all available here without necessarily scrolling over individual ones. It makes that very easy for you as a teacher or potentially for the class. One thing about this heat vision, I can turn it on or turn it off. So currently it's off, so when other students are accessing this text, they won't be able to see or hear what other students are inputting. But if I turn it on, then all of the rest of this content is available to the class in a very collaborative way. So Edji can also be used for images and not just for reading. And here's an example of a lesson that I've done for many years, showing a very famous work of Chinese painting and asking students in Chinese class to describe what they see. Now this is something that I can do in Edji as well. And let's take a look at how this works. And feel free again to stop this video and go over to the link edji.it/852h, and you can try this out yourself. So in this example, Edji is a medium for me to share an authentic article, in this case a very famous painting by Fan Quan, that's from the National Palace Museum in Taipei. What I've been able to do is to do a little glossing for them, to be able to read the text in the corner. But I've given the students the assignment to pick 5 things that they see and to explain what the things are and why they notice them. And I, again, worked with my Chinese teachers, and they found all sorts of things. For example, that on top of the lower mountain, there's all sorts of pine trees. A number of people, including myself, pointed out that there's a small waterfall. People pointed out that there are small people in the bottom of the painting, that there are large rocks, all sorts of things. This is obviously a more novice level task where we're asking students to present on familiar topics using simple sentences. And it's very easy, it's a very easy way to engage with the class that way, but again, using authentic culture and not necessarily reading, and then engaging in an output where the students themselves either give output in the form of written text or audio files, as I've done for myself down at the bottom. Thank you so much for joining me for this presentation. If you have any questions or any feedback, feel free to email me at my email address here. I'll also recommend my colleague Nicole Naditz's video, also on Edji, which he presented at last summer's NFLC Virtual Summit. And the link is there, or do a Google search for the best tech tool you're not using, Edji, and you'll be able to find the video. Thanks so much for viewing.